Heads up, audio listeners, you're about to hear a videotaped conversation. For the full experience, you'll find the video version of this episode on Spotify or YouTube. The opening shot is of an owl. The initial thing as soon as I saw it was wisdom, wise old owl. Is that what you're trying to impart, I guess, the difficulty of getting to wisdom?
No, but that's a good...
You'll take it? I've been spending a lot of time talking to filmmakers and going like, is this what your movie's about? And they're like, you know what? I'm not sure, but pretty good.
It's good.
That is Portuguese filmmaker Filipa Reis. And with her co-director, Joao Guerra, she makes movies that seem straightforward, but are actually about an awful lot. At Cannes, they debuted their film Legua. It's about two housekeepers, middle-aged Anna and elderly Emilia, whose job is to keep a huge country estate spick and span. But the owners are never around. Anna's tending to an empty house. And when her husband gets a job in France and Emilia's health starts to fade, she's got to figure out what she's willing to sacrifice for work and loyalty. I'm Rico Gagliano. This is the MUBI podcast. Welcome to a special season of conversations from the 2023 Cannes Film Festival. This is episode 8, Filipa Reis on Legua, a movie that was inspired by the house where they shot it.
So that house belongs to the family of my co-director.
Not bad.
So we were already very close to the house and to that place, to that village. The idea of writing a story there was already in our minds. So it was a way of spending more time there.
Really?
Yeah, really.
It was just like, I enjoyed this place, so I'm going to set a film
Yes,
there.
I live in the city, so it's also nice to spend more time here.
I do often wonder this about filmmakers, especially when it's in an exotic place. This doesn't necessarily qualify, but did you really have to shoot it in Hawaii? Or,
No, we could find another house.
No, of course.
That's true, but the idea of this empty house, so the house belongs to the family of my partner. We spend some time there, but it's true that the majority of the year the house is empty. So and there is a lot of houses in Portugal like that because things change, families change, people move to the city, so these kind of things happen.
But there's a kind of critique going on here because at one point the daughter is telling her friend that this house is laid empty and her mom works there, and then she says something like, "This is like the time of kings," or something. And your main characters are very consciously working class. It seems like there's a economic critique going on here.
It's there, and it's to us. On this family that has this house that is the majority of the year empty with this, thinking on us, about us. Yes, it's a reflection of
issues of privilege and etc.
Yeah.
Well, why do that? I mean, it's a vulnerable thing to do.
It's good to be vulnerable.
Not everybody does it though. Not everyone would subject themselves to a self-critique.
I think it's good. Yeah.
But the way, I will also say that the way that it's portrayed, there's also a moment where a character shows up at the house. You don't even see this person. They just show up at the house to drop off rent. And they say that it's been a year or something since they've been able to pay rent. So you've got this idea of somebody who is outside of they probably rent someplace on this land.
Yeah, it's land, yes.
And they're not obviously doing that well, but they're paying somebody who doesn't even live in this enormous house, Why have that kind of social commentary? It's almost like on the sidelines. It's not directly addressed. It's sort of on the sidelines. Why do it that way?
Because it's what happens. People rent the land so that other people can explore and give part, or either in money or either in what they plant, to the owners of the land.
But the way that it's being shown is kind of off screen, we don't even see that person. And I feel like that's emblematic of the way that social issues are dealt with in this movie. It's in this very elegant way, but it's not hit on the head. It's sort of on the sidelines. You're telling a story about these women, but on the edges of it, there's this social critique going on.
The story is about them, but they belong to this system. Yes.
Let's talk about your main character since it is about them. The introduction of Anna, I thought was so fascinating. It's 2 scenes. The first is her in a bathroom, sort of doing her toilette and singing a song. She's singing along with the song. It feels like that song was specifically chosen. I'm not Portuguese, but what is the significance of that particular song?
It's a happy song from the 80s of a singer. It was one of the first singers that admitted to be a lesbian in Portugal.
Really?
So it's someone that we admire a lot. And the actress also. So
would it be too much to put on that? I'm thinking out loud now because I did not know any of that.
No, it's only for who knows. It's like It's a political thing, but it's not for everyone to understand because it's not there. It's not in the song.
But now that I know it, it makes total sense because in a way, like it sounds like this might be a person that is appreciated because it's like they decided to live their life the way that they wanted to live it.
Yes.
Which feels like it's maybe...
Which Anna decides to live her life. All the women in the film, I think they are very empowered because they are living the life that they choose to live.
That's true. And it is interesting to me that like the life that Anna chooses to leave is one... The word servitude is too much to use, but in service to her friend, she decides to stay in the house even though her husband has to leave for work to help out her older friend. But I think there would be some that would say that like that's not the most empowering thing to do, to basically, like attach yourself to somebody that you're their caregiver rather than going and living your own life with your significant other.
I think there is this gratitude that she feels for the friend, which is very strong. And she also said that she doesn't want that much to go to friends and clean other people's house when she can be there. I think she really loves where she belongs. So she really loves that land. She really loves the life that she has. So she prefers to stay. So she's very empowered, I think. And that's why the first scenes are so important for us to stay with her and understand what she's really losing for not going to France. But she's not this, a woman that just is so pure and decides to stay and decides to help. It's not that. It's more complex than that.
That's right. Because the second scene that I'd mentioned earlier is... And this was really surprising to me, is like a fairly sultry sex scene, like very early on in the movie. And unless it's an erotic movie, I'm used to a sex scene coming as like a plot point at some point, after meeting somebody or like a romantic moment or something. But it's like right off the bat, like you define the character through that. And this is why.
This is why, yes.
Tell me about how you directed these characters, because it feels like we're coming in on them and they're just living their lives and your camera happened to be there. How do you get to that level of just kind of casual realism? Is it scripted entirely?
It's all scripted, yes. It's all scripted. Carla is a professional Portuguese actress.
Yeah, of course.
And Fatima, who plays the older character, she's not. So we casted a lot. In senior universities around the village where we shot, so in other cities. And we met Fatima. We had also this person with us to rehearse, especially Fatima. So we have rehearsed a lot with her, seeing, because there was 2 things that were really important that we couldn't fail. We couldn't fail casting, and we couldn't fail believing that Fatima decays during the film. So we really needed her to understand physically how to decay. We had a lot of exercises for her to walk with the weight so that so that the position of the body was more tired, because she breeds health. She's super healthy. She's an amazing healthy woman. So we needed her to understand physically how to do it.
But I'm curious though, that means, so you're saying she's the picture of health, but you wanted to find somebody that knew how to decay, and she's not a professional actor. How could you tell that she would be able to pull it off?
So when we start casting, we understood that it would be very difficult to find someone because people have their own land which they care and grandchildren and a lot of things to attend to, so they wouldn't care about us.
Really? They wouldn't want to star in
Yeah,
a cool
it was
movie?
like okay, yeah, maybe we. I don't know. It's you feel that, no? When I think there is this also something that you exchange with the person when you're casting, and with Fatima there was this exchange of interest. So she lives alone. She lived in the UK for many years, so she's very open-minded, very curious, very. So it was. I understood that it was someone to whom this challenge would be a happiness in her life.
Yeah.
And I think that was very important because she was super generous, and it's really a hard thing to ask,
Yeah.
to someone that it's not a professional actress. So it was very demanding what we were asking her to do.
As you mentioned before, you work in a team with your partner, Joao Miller.
Yes.
And how do you, I'm always curious about directing teams because directing is so much exalted as literally an auteur. It's one vision. And directing teams, clearly that's a split vision that somehow you have to share. How do you divide the duties on the set?
So this time we tried not to divide duties. That was the agreement.
In the past you did?
Yeah, in the past I was more with the characters. He was more close to the DOP and to the shot, and this time we said, let's not do it. Let's really share everything. So I don't want to be, because it was an interest that we both had. So it's nice to do everything. It's not good when you just do that and then you see, how is it okay? And so we tried to really do everything together. I think it was sometimes harder for the actresses because we asked, can you also do it like this? And can you also do it? So we tried different things.
So it's like you both...
in rhythms and little things. But, and with the DOP also, sometimes we did, okay, let's do what Filipa is asking and then what Joao is asking, and then we'll see. And
so everything took twice as long, potentially.
Not twice as long, but was negotiated, which I think it's, for me, it was more pleasurable to be a part of.
What do you think? Was it equally so for Joao, do you think?
I think so, yes. No, I think so. Good. You discuss more, so it's a bit like more, okay, now he wants, now she doesn't. But I think it's more fun, and you're really doing the whole thing. You're not just...
But am I getting this right also? You're like going to the actors and it's kind of like, could you give one for Joao and one for me?
Not exactly like that, but can you do one like slowlier, or can we, change something, or can you not, like these kind of adjustments?
So
we have to ask them if they understood that it was one for Joao and one for Filipa. But we didn't shot like twice everything. No.
So you've mentioned this already. It's one of the things is that you're exploring here is aging and the issues of aging. You were looking for this character who could decay throughout the film. And I'm noticing at this Cannes that there's a lot of this. And it's not just from older directors. There seems to be a focus on aging, sort of looking at your life and seeing whether you made the right choices, or deciding all of a sudden, as in the case of some of the characters in this movie, that they're going to do something different with their lives. What do you think is going on? Is there something in the air where we're just kind of like, let's screw the past. Let's figure out how we make what remains of our lives worth it?
I don't know about the others, but on our case, there was... So Joao's father passed away, and this had a big impact in both our lives. It was very sudden. So it's something that we were digesting when we start thinking on the film. So it was pretty much with us, and I think that also regarding to the character of Anna and this decision, and to stay in a certain age and rethink your life. So yes, I think we are in an age that you think about it. You think, okay, what am I going to do now?
Filipa Reis, her new film with Joao Guerra is called Legua. Look for it this coming year. Meanwhile, this episode of the MUBI podcast was written and hosted by me, Rico Gagliano. Kira McKenna produced, along with Elodie Fagan and Josefina Perez Portillo. Sean Holdsworth edited the show, and Michelle Cho is our supervising editor. Yuri Suzuki composed our theme music. Our camera crew in Cannes included Cedric Azar, Alice Deplat, Rob Godfrey, Salah Colon, and Matis Totti. Special thanks to MUBI's additional team in Cannes, Eric Eisenberg, Sam Letter, and Elias Malki. The series is executive produced by me, along with John Baranachea, F.A. Checarel, Daniel Kazman, and Michael Taka. If you're a Spanish speaker, our sister show MUBI Podcast Encuentros is also posting interviews taped at Cannes with Latin American filmmakers. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, to stream the best in cinema, head over to MUBI.com to start watching. Next episode, I talked to Hungary's legendary Oscar-nominated filmmaker Ildikó Enyedi about the giant challenges of making short films. Till then, go watch some movies.